I was still numb from the waist down when they placed my son on my chest. He was warm and heavy in a way that felt unreal, like something borrowed. My arms shook. Not from effort but from the sudden understanding that I was responsible for this small breathing person. The room smelled like disinfectant and something metallic. A nurse adjusted the blanket. Someone congratulated me. I nodded when they left. The silence pressed in. I reached for my phone with my free hand. My fingers moved slowly. Everything did. I typed the message and stared at it longer than I should have. Please, can anyone come and support me? I didn't add explanations or apologies. I didn't say I was scared or that the incision burned when I shifted. I didn't say I hadn't slept in 2 days. I sent it. A few minutes later, the notification appeared. Read. Nothing else came. I told myself not to think about it. Hospitals are busy places. Time moves strangely there. I focused on my son's breathing. In and out. In and out. The hours folded into each other. Nurses came and went. They taught me how to hold him without pulling my stitches. How to stand. How to lower myself back onto the bed without shaking. I checked my phone more than I'd like to admit. No reply. On the second day, I told myself my mother was overwhelmed. She had always gone quiet when things got intense. On the third, I decided she must be waiting until I was home. On the fourth, I stopped inventing reasons. Going home was harder than I expected. The nurse walked me to the door. I carried my son in his seat, every step careful. Outside, the air felt too big. The car ride was silent except for his soft noises and the hum of traffic. At home, the house didn't meet me halfway. The couch was where I left it. The sink was empty. The walls didn't absorb sound. I set the carrier down and stood there, unsure what to do next. Pain has a way of narrowing the world. So does exhaustion. I lived in small tasks. Feed him, change him. Sit, stand. Breathe through the sharp pull at my abdomen. On the fifth night, I cried quietly in the bathroom because I couldn't get up from the toilet without help and there was no one to ask. Still no message. On the sixth morning, my phone buzzed while I was half asleep with my son on my chest. For a moment, I thought it was her. An apology, a late response. It was my bank. Withdrawal attempt declined. The amount was precise. $2,300. My father's name sat beneath it like something misplaced. I stared at the screen. My son shifted and let out a small sound. I rested my hand on his back and tried to think. This wasn't new, not really. My parents had always treated my account like a shared drawer. Small amounts at first. Then larger ones, always with explanations. Always with the promise to fix it later. I had allowed it because it was easier than pushing back. Because saying no felt like ingratitude. Because they framed it as trust. But this time, the timing stripped it bare. I opened the app and the account access. My hands were steady. I surprised myself with that. A message came in minutes later. Why did you block the transfer? I didn't answer right away. I fed my son, changed him, laid him down. Only then did I type, I'm not approving any withdrawals. The phone rang almost immediately. I let it ring. A voicemail followed. My father's voice was annoyed, not concerned. He said there had been a mistake. That they needed the money briefly. That I was being unreasonable. Another message came from my mother. You're overreacting. You know we'd help if you asked. I looked around the room. The empty chair. The untouched meals I hadn't had the energy to make. I typed slowly. I did ask. The reply came back fast. You're emotional right now. This isn't the time for decisions. Something in me hardened. Not sharply. Gradually, I remembered all the times my feelings had been labeled inconvenient. All the times my needs had been postponed. All the times silence had been used as control. I made another call. This time, to the bank, I explained clearly. I asked what permissions existed on my account. The woman on the line was polite. Efficient. We reviewed everything. Names, access points. Old authorizations I had forgotten were there. Do you want to remove them? She asked. Yes, I said. There was no drama in the process. Just confirmation codes. Recorded consent. A final click. When it was done, I sat back and felt something unfamiliar. Not relief space. The fallout came in waves. My mother accused me of punishing them. Of choosing money over family. My father said I was being influenced. That this wasn't like me. They were right about one thing. It wasn't. I didn't argue. I didn't justify, I repeated myself once calmly, I need boundaries. I won't discuss this further. They didn't like that. They went quiet again. This time I let them. That night, I sighed in the dark, feeding my son. The house was still. My body ached. My mind replayed everything. I wondered if I had gone too far. If I had misunderstood. If this would cost me the relationship entirely. Then my son looked up at me, unfocused and trusting. And I understood something clearly. Support that arrives only when it takes is not support. I don't know what our relationship will look like now. Some calls have gone unanswered. Some messages remain unread. What I do know is this. When I asked for help, I was met with silence. When they wanted money, they spoke quickly. I chose to listen to what that told me. I rock my son in the early mornings. I manage on less sleep than I thought possible. I asked for help elsewhere now. Even when it feels awkward, the boundary still hurts. But it holds. And for the first time, that feels like enough.